20th century. Material needs no longer exist.
Then what's the challenge?
2 weeks ago, Vivek Ramaswamy started a civil war on conservative Twitter by posting this. American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. This is a pretty common belief on the right. If there's one thing every boomer conservative can agree on, it's that kids these days are too darn lazy. Nobody wants to work anymore. But it's not just the boomers. The tech bros and the entrepreneur self-improvement guys are saying the same thing. Work harder, don't rest, make money. People like Andrew Tate tell young men to get on the grind set and work 80 hours a week and work and work and work and work and become millionaires by 30. I knew this guy who worked 5 jobs over the summer. He basically worked 24/7 and never rested. But he would brag about this. It was this strange masochistic ritual where he actually took pride in how miserable his life was. I worked every hour of every day. That's not good. Get some rest, dude. Chill out. Sure, you're making a lot of money, but you're wasting your life. A common insult, especially towards young people, is, that kid never worked a day in his life. There's this idea that back-breaking manual labor is what makes you a real man. That if you don't get your hands dirty in the coal mines, if you don't come home at the end of the day drenched in sweat, you're weak. Society tells us that working 40 hours a week is normal. That's what everyone does. Respectable, middle-class people spend their lives working soulless, miserable jobs. It's perfectly normal. Now get back to work, Wagie. But maybe work is not good. Maybe work is a necessary evil. Maybe leisure and rest and free time is what life is really about. Maybe the Protestant work ethic and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. In 1904, a German sociologist named Max Weber published a book titled The Protestant Work Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. In that book, he observed that the Puritans had a strange obsession with labor. They didn't see it as a necessary evil, they saw it as a spiritual duty, a sacrament. Free time, on the other hand, was seen as shameful, almost sinful. If you're not working, you're wasting time, you're being unproductive. Idle hands are the devil's playground. That's the Puritan work ethic. The idea that labor is innately more virtuous than leisure, that our jobs give our lives meaning and purpose. The Puritans brought this attitude to America, and it became a core part of American culture. We're all about work, work, work. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Start a business. Become a billionaire. On the one hand, that makes us very productive. Americans build, we innovate, we build bridges and skyscrapers and steamships and automobiles. But on the other hand, the Puritan work ethic wears us down. We feel this constant need to be productive. And if we're not being productive, we feel guilty. We feel like failures. One study found that the psychic harm from unemployment is about 40% worse for Protestants than for the general population. When we lose our jobs, we spiral into depression and alcoholism and despair. Compare that to the Catholic work ethic. Have you ever seen Catholics working? We've done enough today. Let's take a break. Time for a siesta. Time for some wine. Seriously, look at Catholic cultures. In Italy, it's common for workers to take 2-hour lunch breaks. I was reading about this one town where they all go home at noon to nap and don't come back to the office until 4. It's traditional for some Italian families to have 3-hour meals on Sundays. They just sit there savoring their pasta and their wine, talking and telling stories.
Some more bread.
Tomorrow we eat sandwiches. You gotta go on a diet, buddy.
Sandwiches ain't kidding.
Believe me. Johnny?
Yeah, that's not very productive. I guess they could have been working and making money during that time. They could have been increasing the GDP. But you know what? They're enjoying life. They're spending time with their families. Aristotle wrote that man works only in order to have leisure. That's the traditional view, the aristocratic view. Labor is not good or noble in and of itself. It's a necessary evil. It is a means to an end, and that end is leisure, relaxation, free time. For Aristotle, the good life is not spent working 40 hours a week. It's spent savoring the finer things, enjoying the beauty of nature, reading and writing and contemplating philosophy. I am 20 years old. The life expectancy for an American man is 74, so if I'm lucky, I have about 54 years left to live. 54 more Christmases, 54 more birthdays, 54 more winters, and 54 more summers. That sounds like a lot of time, but also, not really. If you're older than I am, you have even less time. And what about your parents? You only have a certain number of years before your mom and your dad are gone. The same is true of your grandma or your brother or your best friend or your dog. Knowing all that, how much is an hour of your life worth? Every hour you spend at work is one less hour you get to spend with the people you love. Is that really worth $15? $18? $20? If you were on your deathbed, how much would you pay to have just one more hour with your family? Probably a lot more than $20. Obviously, work is necessary. We have to make money, and I'm not telling you to quit your job. But I do want you to realize just how valuable time is. In his first letter to Lucilius, Seneca writes that time is the most valuable of all our possessions, because it's the one thing we can never get back. Once you spend it, it's gone forever. You can't replace it. Yet everyone treats their time as though it's disposable. Vivek Ramaswamy says you should spend it working 80 hours a week building software for tech companies. Society says you should spend it working a 9 to 5, waking up every morning for the commute and getting home with just enough time to watch Netflix before you go to bed and set your alarm for tomorrow's shift. People like Andrew Tate claim to be escaping this rat race. Take my online course to escape the 9 to 5. Become a millionaire so you can buy cool cars and live in Dubai. But are these self-improvement entrepreneurs at peace? Are they relaxing? No, they spend hours learning to code and running their dropshipping companies. They think about money 24/7. They're not escaping the rat race. They're just running faster than the other rats. Maybe there's a better way to use your time. Maybe you should do something unproductive. Take a walk with your dog, go to the park, just sit outside watching the trees and the sky and the birds. But Arthur, people are lazy enough already. If they stop working, they'll get even more fat and miserable. They'll just lay around watching Netflix all day. It's true, Americans are fat and lazy. But I think you're misdiagnosing the problem. It's not that Americans need to work harder, it's that we've forgotten how to truly rest. Because scrolling Instagram is not rest. Eating junk food is not rest. When Aristotle said that aristocrats should pursue a life of leisure, he didn't mean they should lay around in their villas drinking wine. He meant they should live the contemplative life, pursuing virtue and beauty and wisdom. Leisure doesn't mean goofing off, it means engaging the deep pleasures of the soul, what C.S. Lewis called serious joy. Read a book, write a book, research a topic you find interesting. That's leisure. Modern Americans come home after a long day of work, and what do? Do we take a long walk in the forest and watch the sunset? Do we sit outside reading philosophy? Do we have a nice warm meal with our families? No. We sit in our dark rooms, scrolling Instagram and TikTok. Why? Why are we incapable of true enjoyment? Maybe it's because we work too much. The modern wage slave wakes up at 6 a.m. He drives to work, he stares at the clock until his lunch break, he eats a cold sandwich, and watches the clock again. Only 2 hours left, only an hour left, only 15 minutes left, only 10 minutes left, only 5 minutes left. By the time he finally gets home, he's so spiritually drained that he just plops on the couch and watches TV. Our jobs are so miserable and soul-crushing that we end up wasting the little free time we have left because all our energy and creativity was sucked out of us. There's this dystopian show called Severance about a group of employees who have their memories divided.
I give consent to sever my memories between my work life and my personal life. I acknowledge that once the procedure is complete, I will be unable to access my personal memories whilst on the severed floor.
Say gratitude.
Nor will I retain work memories.
Hey!
Sorry, when I return home at the end of the day. I make these statements freely.
Those hours spent at work might as well just not exist. From their perspective, they just fall asleep and wake up at the end of their shift. What strikes me about this show is that we, as workers, secretly want that. All day at work, we stare at the clock, willing the time to go faster, willing the hours to slip away. But what are we really doing? We're willing our lives to slip away. If you work 40 hours a week, you spend a third of your life at work. By willing those hours to disappear, you're willing away a third of your life. We're trapped in this horrible cycle where we work to pay our bills, but our jobs are so miserable that we buy even more stuff to cope with them. We buy Netflix and video games and junk food to get through the work week, to distract ourselves. But to pay for those distractions, we have to work even more, which drives us to consume more, which drives us to work more, etc., etc., etc. So let's break the cycle. A specter is haunting America. The specter of automation. Robots will take our jobs. It's gonna happen. Robots will replace truckers and factory workers and doctors and teachers. But maybe that's a good thing.
Allow me, sir.
Is there any girl out there who can resist the charms of a solar-powered alloy chassis with turbo-driven schematics and LED eyes?
Imagine the year 5000 AD. Technology has advanced to the point that labor is no longer necessary. Factories have been fully automated. Restaurants and hospitals are run by machines. Robot maids, robot doctors, robot waitresses.
You want a cup of Java juice?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Nobody has to work anymore, except maybe a couple hours a month just to keep the robots going. We have unlimited free time to live like real people, to spend time with our families, to explore the cosmos, to read and write and learn. But Arthur, if nobody has to work, they'll all just lie around scrolling TikTok, wasting their lives with cocaine and hookers and video games. Without jobs, our lives will have no purpose or direction. That's the Puritan work ethic talking. The wage slave fears free time because he hasn't learned how to use it. He only knows distraction, hedonism, laziness. True leisure is sharp, disciplined, fervent, focused. When people become billionaires, when they get so rich that they don't have to work anymore, do you think they just sit around watching TV? Do you think medieval aristocrats just lounged around getting fat? No! They went riding in the forest, they slew dragons, they wrote poems and songs, they hosted great banquets. Take someone like Jeff Bezos. He's made so much money that he'll never really have to work again. I think he attends a couple meetings a week, and that's it. Do you think his life has gotten worse because of that? Do you think he's just lying around in his mansion bored out of his mind scrolling TikTok? No! Go read about his daily routine. Every morning he makes pancakes for his kids, and then he reads books until lunch. His life is awesome, and I'm happy for him, and I want that for everyone. That beautiful, carefree life. That Epicurean leisure where you're surrounded by beauty. How could that not make you a better person? So dare to be utopian. Dare to imagine a future where we spend our lives exploring and learning among the stars. Where we can finally sit back and live our lives. Not as workers, but as human beings.
What will I do? How will I live?
This is the 24th century. Material needs no longer exist.
Then what's the challenge?
The challenge, Mr. Offenhouse, is to improve yourself, to enrich yourself. Enjoy it.
These are exciting times. The channel is growing. People are waking up. The masses are becoming Arthur Greenwood pilled. But we still have a long way to go. My last channel was demonetized, and they might do the exact same thing to this one. So, if you like what I do and you want to help me out, if you want to help my channel grow, there are 4 things you can do. 1. Leave a comment. Just say anything, literally anything, and that will be a huge help for the algorithm. 2. Send the video to a friend. I know you have some normie friend who needs to hear this. 4. Most importantly, consider joining my Patreon. You'll also get to join our members-only Discord server where you can talk with me and the boys about life and politics and history. It's a great time. We have weekly phone calls, and I have genuinely become really good friends with some of the guys in the server. Because we have to stick together, you know? It's rough out there. We need networks of highly disciplined, highly intelligent men. If you want to join my network, all it costs is $1 a month. That adds up to $12 a year, which is nothing. That's less than an hour of work. And in exchange, you get to be my friend forever.